talk too much this morning. So Easter is all about Jesus. And for me, I like spending time with my family. I like coming together, having fun, and making memories. Well, Jesus also has a family and also likes to come together. And he had to do something very important so we wouldn't be separated, so he could spend time with us. So yesterday, Mecca had a Easter egg hunt, and we went up there. I kind of had mixed feelings about hiding all these eggs, but the pastor there had enough eggs and enough themes that he still made it about Jesus. So we went out there, and he had like 3,000 eggs scattered around. You didn't have to fight for an egg if you didn't find one. And I seen as Azariah was going through, he wasn't thinking about himself. He found a little doll baby, and he said, I'm going to give this to Hadassah. Then he found a rose. He said, I'm going to give this to Mom. And if that's what we do in this season, we look out for others. It's not all about ourselves. And that's exactly what Jesus did. He wasn't thinking about himself. He went on the cross for others. So we have all this candy at home now, and the pastor explained that we're going to get all this candy and we want to save it forever. But we all know we're either going to eat it or it's going to spoil or the chocolate melts in this heat. So he said the real reason for putting together this treasure hunt was not about the eggs, not about the candy. He said there's another treasure we want to find. Does anyone know what that treasure is? What is it? It's Jesus, exactly. And so today, this Easter, I want to help you guys find the treasures in the scripture that you guys can keep forever. And to do so, I brought resurrection eggs, and it goes from 1 to 12. And I heard and counted, and I think there's 14 of you. So, Micah, why don't you sit next to Azariah? Just you and Christopher switch, and you're with what? Your youngest one? So as she picks an egg, you help her and you help him. That way, I think I'll have 12 eggs, one for each one. Now, before I get into it, 1 Corinthians 4:3 says, the gospel is hid to those who are lost. Satan, the god of this world, has blinded the minds of unbelievers, but God commanded his light to shine out of darkness. So we take those key words, lost, blinded, and darkness, right? And that's kind of what we do when we hide eggs. We make them so you guys can't find them. Well, Satan blinded eyes of unbelievers so they can't find the truth. But if it's dark out and you guys are trying to find something, what do you take to help you find whatever you're looking for? A light. And in that it says, God commanded his light to shine out of the darkness, and he has shined his light in our hearts so that it's not dark, so we can see. So when you go looking for a treasure, you have to be able to find it, to know where it is, right? And the Bible says we have this treasure in earthen vessels, right? To give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus. So we have these treasures if we understand, but our body, just like all this candy that we get, is going to dissolve, right? Our body's not going to last forever. So God promises us that if we believe and trust in him, then we will have a building of God, a house not made with hands, and it's eternal in the heavens. So that's the treasure I want us to focus on. I'm going to use these other little object lessons just to find truths so you can keep them, because I know a lot of times children learn from object and things. So they're numbered from 1 to 12. So the first number I want you to pick out, and there's a clue in number 1 that tells the Easter story. So open it and see what's in number 1 and tell me what that has to do with the Easter story. It's a donkey and a palm leaf. What would that have to do with Easter?
Well, before Jesus died, he went to Jerusalem and they waved palm branches.
Exactly. So that would have been last Sunday, right? So we start on this little clue last Sunday. Let me read you the Bible verse. It is in Matthew 21. It says, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, Go into the village opposite you. Immediately you will find a donkey tied with a colt. Loose them, bring them to me. If anyone says to you, you shall say to them, the Lord has need of them, and he will send them. They brought the donkey and the colt, and they laid their clothes on them and set Jesus on them. Then the great multitudes spread all their clothes on the road. Others cut palm branches and spread them on the road. The people went before and after Jesus, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. So you have your first clue. If you put it back, then you get number 2. What do you have in number 2? Your second clue. Do you know? It's supposed to be a bottle. And smell it. Does the bottle have any scent to it? Smell that little cloth that goes beside it. Does it have a smell? Does it smell like a certain kind of perfume? Does it smell? What is that? When you smell that bottle and that perfume, it's kind of strong. What does that make you think about Jesus? Anything? Does that give you any truth? So one time there was this woman, do you know? At the Passover dinner when they were reclining there. Now, did they put the expensive perfume on his head or on his foot? Both. There's 2 different instances. Gotcha on that one. This one, they put it, so it's interesting. The time they did put it on his feet was just before he rode into Jerusalem on his donkey. So I wanted to mention that. Maybe all you guys who are training horses, instead of putting spurs on your feet, maybe put some sweet perfume, and the donkey will just calm right down and do whatever you want. I don't know, but he did it just before, because it said they had perfume on his feet. Then he went and rode the donkey. But this time they put it on his head, and this was after the fact. So I think I'm not sure how exactly, if there are 2 different women, or it was 2 different houses anyway. So they put it on his head, and Judas said, why are you putting all this expensive perfume on his head? We could sell it. And what did Jesus say? Why did he put all the expensive perfume on his head? Does anyone know? They were getting ready for what? His burial, right? This was the whole week leading up to it. Take number 3. What is in number 3? Coins. How many are there? 3. What is that? Can you think of anything in the Bible with Jesus that has to do with money?
Judas betrayed Jesus.
2:30. Go ahead. 30? Exactly. And there are 3 nickels, 3 dimes in there. So that means 30. So one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you? And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. So from that time on, he sought for an opportunity to betray him. Poor Judas. It's not worth the money. Number 4. I think 4. You take number 5. They kind of go together. What do you have in number 4?
Bread.
Bread. You open number 5. What do you have? A cup. So what would we do with a bread and a cup? Exactly. And why do we do that to this day? Why do we continue to do that every year or however often we choose to? I think we're going to do it today, right? Why do we do it? It says, do this in remembrance of me. Jesus did this awesome thing for us. And let's say we inherited something from our grandparents or something, and I would never tell my children what my grandfather did for me. And he would just think, oh, Dad got this farm, or he inherited this gift, or he got this muzzleloader or something. And I would never tell them. Pretty soon they forget about it. Especially if there isn't if there isn't a book written about it or nothing, you'd soon forget about it. So he said, every time you do this, break this bread and do this, do it in remembrance of me. because of what I did for you. Number 6. What is in number 6? A chicken. You sure it's not a rooster? I think it's a rooster. It's a funny looking rooster, ain't it? But as long as he can crow, that was a clue. What does a rooster have to do with Jesus and the whole Easter story? They've been answering a lot down here. You guys have been really quiet up here. Does anyone else know? Yep, when Peter denied him. Here's the story. A servant girl, seeing Peter as he sat by the fire, looked intently at him and said, "This man was also with them." But Peter denied, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." And after a while, another saw him and said, "You also are one of them." And Peter said, "Man, I am not." After an hour passed, another confidently affirmed, saying, "Surely this fellow was with him, for he is a Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are saying." And immediately while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed, and the Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." And Peter went out and wept bitterly. So we can learn from that, and ourselves, we don't want to go down certain paths or do certain things, but when the temptation arises and all that peer pressure, we get scared and we turn to ourselves. So we have to learn to rely on Jesus. Let's see, number 7. I think that was 6, right? Let's see. So what do you have, Christopher?
Thorns.
A crown of thorns. Now, why would there be a crown of thorns in there?
Because they put a crown of thorns on Jesus' head before they crucified him.
Before they crucified him, exactly. And it's interesting to note, if we go all the way back in Genesis, remember that beautiful garden that was in there? Do you think that when they went to pick red raspberries or anything, do you think the raspberries had thorns or the roses? They didn't, right? So why are there thorns now? Why do we have to deal with all these thorns? Exactly. The ground got cursed. And so after that, it brought forth thorns and thistles. Now, when Jesus went on the cross, didn't he take everything that's cursed on the cross? It says, "Cursed is every man that hangs on a tree." So Jesus took all our curses and even the curses from the ground up on that tree. So he can bless us. He take all those curses, so what? He can bless us afterward. Micah number 8. Or actually, let Azariah open it. So after, or he was still, they put the crown of thorns on his head, and Azariah, what do you have? A purple piece of cloth. So what does a king wear? Does he wear a crown and a what? A robe. Exactly. So can you think of the robe, the story that they put on him? Were they serious about it when that they were saying he is a king, or were they mocking him? They were mocking him, right? And they said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him with their hands. They pulled his beard. They spit on him. But was Jesus really a king? Mm-hmm. But was he going to be their king right then and take over right? No, and that's why they thought it was funny. That's why they thought he was a fake. But he said, "My kingdom is not of this world." So he was getting ready. Number 9, right? This one right here. Open it up. What is in there, Justice? 3 nails and a cross? What does that have to do with the Easter story? You don't know? Can someone help him out? Zacharias, do you know what 3 nails and a cross has to do with? You don't know either? I bet you both know. You're just too nervous. Kyle. When he went on the cross, Azariah, where did they put the 3 nails? On his hands and on his feet. Exactly. Very good. Let me see if I'm missing something. And he, bearing his cross, went out to a place called Golgotha, where they crucified him. And then they nailed him to the cross, him being delivered by the determined purpose and foreknowledge of God. You have taken by lawless hands and have crucified and put to death. That's all right. We'll get him. Let him play with it. That's fine. So we have a good one for you. Number 8. Number 8. Yep, right there. I think that. Wait, we're going to put number 10. There we go. I'm going the wrong way. What do you have?
Foam and dice.
Foam and dice. What do those have to do with the resurrection story?
When they cast lots.
Yep.
For his clothing.
For his garments, exactly. And what about the sponge?
They gave him vinegar to drink.
Exactly. Because if you're hanging up on the cross and you have all this blood, you get dehydrated. And think about it, your mouth gets you can't talk, you're dry. And he wanted to say something, so he said, I thirst. So they wanted to see, why is he thirsty? So they put the sponge into some sour wine that was sitting there. They put it on a stick and put it up to his mouth. And when he had received the sour wine, then he could finally talk. And he yelled out in a loud voice, and he said, it is finished. And he died. Number 11. She has a cloth as well, Azariah, but her cloth is white. And a stone. What does a white piece of cloth and a stone have to do with it? Very well. And who took him down from the cross? What was the man's name? I'll let you answer. Joseph. Exactly. And when evening came, there was a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who himself had become a disciple of Jesus. This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded him the body to be given to him. When Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, that's the white cloth, and laid him in his new tomb, which he had hewn out from the rock. Then Joseph rolled the stone against the door of the tomb. One last one for you, Zach. Open up number 12. What's in it? Uh-oh, there's nothing in it. Did I lose my clue that was supposed to go in it? Did you steal it? No? Think of how Mary and all them, when they came up to the tomb, they were expecting to find something in it, just like you were expecting to find something in that egg, but it was gone. They said, where did Jesus' body go? Where did it go? Where did Jesus' body go? It wasn't in the tomb no more. And someone lied and said they stole it. Where did his body go? He was raised from the dead. It was empty. The tomb was empty. So your egg is empty to help you remember that Jesus isn't in the tomb no more. Now, think about how disappointed we would be if Jesus' body would still be in the tomb. Would we have anything to live for? Our Savior, who said he's going to save us, would be dead, and he wouldn't be any different than any of these other people who claim to be gods. They can't save us. But because it's empty, that means Jesus is alive and he has power over death. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Exactly. So give me that egg once. Now, so if Jesus is alive and he went up to heaven, right? What good is Jesus to us if he stays up in heaven? Is he any good to us? How? If we're down here and he's up there, what good will that do to us? He's all the way up there. We're all the way down here. So Zacharias found this egg empty. When Adam sinned, we were separated from God. We are empty. There's no light inside of us. So the whole purpose for Jesus to come this Easter season was to put his light inside of us, to fill us up. He doesn't want to leave us. He left this tomb empty for a reason because he didn't want to stay in here. But he doesn't want to leave our bodies empty, right? So his resurrected body went up. But then he said, I'm going to come back down and I want to live where? Here with us, in each side of us. But this egg still looks the same from the outside, right, Zach? Do you know if there's anything inside of it? Do you want to open it this time and see if there's really something in it? Okay, open it this time and see if there's something inside of it. What is inside of it now? It's a piece of paper, and you're too young to read, right? So let me read what it says. In here, in this piece of paper, are 9 fruits of the Spirit. There's love, there's joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and self-control. And if you have Jesus living inside of you, just like the egg, you might not look different on the outside. But on the inside, if you have this self-control, this love, this joy, then you can be sure that Jesus lives inside of you, right? So with that, that's the treasures that you guys can hang on to and keep this Christmas season, this Easter season. Okay? So with that, you guys can go back to your